everybody, to our collective energy update for energetically sensitives and empaths. My name is bryndis. I'm an energy healer, energy coach, and I train professionals how to integrate energy work into what they're doing to get the deeper perspective. And so today I want to talk to you about the energies coming up here in this next week. It's not a prediction, it's picking up from the energies that are coming forward here in these energy sessions that we do at Transcodes. I want to point out that this is live and I can not see you. Yes, I'm starting to see you. Hello, Australia. Hello, Canada. Hello, United States. It's so wonderful. Let me know where you guys are from Denmark. Yes, so you can ask questions and comment. Let me know how you are feeling right now, how you're dealing with some of these energies. And this is the place here where we want to talk about the unseen things, okay? The things that others may call woo-woo, or, you know, that may make you feel like you are the only one because nobody talks about it, all right? So we're addressing these senses or these perceptions and experiences that we have here as energetically sensitives or empaths that nobody wants to talk about. Yes, and more from Denmark. The wonderful. Hi, everybody. So let's look at last week a little bit here, the week 10th till 16th of August. So this was a rough week for people, and you may, still be in this place where you're kind of licking your wounds a little bit, and I want to explain why. There's, of course, sort of planetary stuff, and astrologers have, they bring in a really cool view of, sort of the aspects that come in through these constellations. But I don't want to talk about those here. I'm talking about the energy seen from the perspective of an energy worker, which is a little different, or let's put it this way, it's more practical, all right? And last week was a week where most of us had to deal with our mental schisms, okay, like really with, sort of the insanity of our thinkingness and all that comes with it. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of, sort of depressed feelings in the air, and so many of us kind of felt a bit overwhelmed by this up and down. But most of this, guys, was all just in our minds. And I'll explain that a little bit here today, how this signal processing works and the connection between our body and our emotions and our thoughts. And then we want to look into the energetic perspective and the spiritual perspective and what we can do. Those are the energy tips that we will illuminate here at the end of this session. Yes, and it's so good to have you guys here. Netherlands, wonderful. My old home. All right, guys, so while you guys share a little bit how you are dealing with, this conscious observation, this conscious witnessing of your ego dying, okay? This is what I called this the last 2 weeks, all right? I prepared you for, consciously witnessing the death of your ego, all those grandiose perceptions or projections of yourself. They fell to rock bottom this last week. All right, so what happens when our ego kicks and screams and when we go into these places where we can't really feel in control anymore? It's very simple. What happens is that you're realizing that you're not in control, and you're never in control. This is an ego illusion to begin with, and so, experiencing things in your life, that kind of bring you back into reality, that bring, this like shoot, whatever it is that I tried to do here, or the vision that I had of myself, or how I saw myself, or my business that I'm trying to do, or, oh, this is all just, sort of a house of cards and it's all just falling apart. It is not the reality check of it that is the problem, guys, because, we can handle that. It is the letting go of our projections and, of how we want it, okay? And there is an energy work, there is a really big part of our journey is really dedicated to, finding out what we truly want. Because for the most part, and I mentioned this earlier, I talked about mental schisms. For the most part, we're pursuing things, or we're running after things, or we're seeking things that we don't truly want. All right, it's coming from our ego. We want to be the world's most successful, whatever. Okay, but maybe this is not what we truly want, and so this schism is only painful because there's some inner conflict or some inner stuff clashing. Now the outer conditions, and this is here what we are reflecting with the energy update, they provide, so to speak, the ground. Like you can be, or you can have a wonderful idea or vision of yourself, but you just place yourself into the wrong environment for that, then it can't blossom. It can't really sprout. You can't really experience this unfolding of your potential. So that's always something that we need to look at as well. And when we look at collective energies, basically what I'm trying to convey here to you guys is that there is some outer factors as well that influence you, and there are some days or some weeks where it's just not advantageous to trying to accomplish something because the weather condition isn't right. It's kind of like, if you want to, go work in your garden and it's raining for a whole week, then this is not a good week for doing gardening. And the same applies to collective energies. And it is only that, the empaths amongst us, which is roughly 10-15% of the population, whom are completely aware of it. And even if we are aware that there are outer energies influencing the way we're feeling, we're still having a hard time contextualizing it. And we go into self-doubt, and we judge ourselves, and we tear ourselves down. And this was really strong last week, okay? And most of that was coming from our thinking and from the judgment in our thinking, our mindset, all right? And South Africa, yes, I can see you too. They're wonderful. Did any one of you experience something like that, where you went into these like endless loops of, criticizing yourself and getting into this frustration of, why am I even doing this? And, nobody really cares, or this is never going to work, or stuff like that. Did any one of you experience this last week with, perhaps even insomnia, or, strong headaches, issues with your stomach, issues with your digestion, feeling displaced altogether and overwhelmed? Yes. Yeah. This is really strong last week. And so, in those places, it's not really recommendable to try to find the big answers, and trying to find the big fixes, all right? In those times, you need to focus on your own self-healing first. And how can you up your vibratory rate? How can you increase your energy levels? Yes. And this is starting to shift now. Daniela, the energies became finally positive. I was ready to go on my mission. No physical issues anymore. And then my body decided to sleep. And old baggage came up. Yes, so this is kind of like we are on this threshold. This is the energy of next week here for the 17th till the 23rd of August 2018. All right, so the shift is coming, but we are still sort of in this recuperation. We're still licking our wounds. And the tiredness, guys, oh my God. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. But it's like you can barely function, because you're so in need of just grounding and sleep. And most of us couldn't find the sleep. So this is where, all these conflicts took place. So this doesn't mean that your project or your mission isn't right. All that means, Daniela, is that you have to give yourself this rest, this whatever it is that you need right now. And in this place, you know, we were held, or we were asked to connect with our heart and review if the way we're approaching things, if the way we've sort of painted the picture, if this is really true to us. Okay, so when you are forced to calm down, when you're forced to rest, when you're forced to reflect, this doesn't mean that your energy is necessarily low. See, we've forgotten to, you know, take a couple of hours a day to just be and to just reflect. When we don't have anything going on, like texts going off or the phone ringing or, you know, something on TV or something, you know, that needs to be scheduled, some logistics, then we start feeling empty, because we've gotten so used to this doing all the time that we are afraid of just being. And when we get forced into this beingness, you know, then we feel depressed. Most of this, guys, isn't depression. Depression is different, and this is a whole different situation. Most of us really just felt like they were depressed, or they were afraid of going into depression, but it wasn't really the, you know, this what psychologists would call clinical depression. So when stuff comes up, when we go into this deeper reflective state, all that means is that we have to let go of trying to control this. Let go of trying to force it into a direction that may not be true. And, you know, like how I recommended a few weeks back, instead ask yourself, I wonder how this could work out better. I wonder how I could feel more congruent with these things. I wonder how this is going to play out. And just lean back and watch things happening. And if you need another nap, then do that. And if you need to take a bath, or if you need, you know, some food to ground yourself a little more, then do that. Okay, we're going to look into the energy tips here for next week in a minute. Thanks for sharing, Daniela. Yeah, so the biggest issue here last week was, you know, the sort of being forced to look into the mirror and witness, you know, how our mind and our emotion literally kidnap our awareness and our perception of ourselves. Okay, and the truth of that is that we are not in control of that. We are not in control of where, you know, our thoughts bring us. We're not even in control of our body. This is only an illusion. Kinds of micro things that are going on in our total energy body, all right, that have nothing to do with our mental capacity or our knowledge. So we have to, you know, sort of get into this place where we, you know how to read our own energies, know how to shift our energies if needed, but we cannot resist the fact that our energy, you know, fluctuates, or that we feel a little, you know, more reflective one day, you know, and that we feel more energetic the other day. Are there things that we can learn how to tweak and how to master our energies better? Absolutely. But can we avoid those places? No. All we can do is become much better at getting out of these places so that we don't get stuck there. Because then, you know, these low places can turn into, you know, sort of real depression and real anxiety. So we have to be a bit more creative here when it comes to managing our own energies. We can't just go by textbook. This is all, you know, sort of a discovery of like how does my energy respond to certain outer and inner factors? How does my energy respond to issues in my relationship and my family? How does my energy respond to issues with money? How does my energy respond to issues with my career or my business? How does my energy respond to global news, you know, to politics and so forth? How does my energy respond to other people's energies? Those are all things that we need to discover for ourselves, because there is no one way. It depends on where a person is at, the energetic state of a person at the time, how this person will perceive it. And this is the paradigm shift here, guys, that we have been talking about for so many years, namely away from this objectifying of ourselves, as something, scientific, almost like a computer that could, sort of react in the same way in the same situation. It is not the case. This paradigm shift puts us back into subjectivity, into the subjectivity of our perception. And we have to learn how to trust in that again. And our heart plays a major role in this. This is basically an undiscovered technology in us. Our heart has the ability to discern different from our mind and our emotion and our body. It can perceive information on a much higher frequency level. It's the bandwidth that is so much higher, that our heart field can perceive. And this is usually when people talk about intuition or energetic sensations. So it's our sixth and our seventh sense, and we need to learn how to work this technology. Yes, Cheryl, I totally resonate with the resistance to being. Years of being in survival mode is taking time to reprogram. Thank you for sharing that. This is part of this control issue that we're all having. It does take time, guys, and the survival mode is exactly what is creating this energetic stress in us, what is making us feel so overwhelmed from time to time. Okay, so it's a really complex interplay between our body, our mind, and emotion. And so this the way this has been conditioned in us, and these energetic pathways that we have in our system, they require reprogramming. And this is basically what energy work and energy healing does. It offers tools to do this, and it does take time. Yeah, if you look up the free video training that Jeff and I recorded last year, the 21 days breaking through the matrix, you'll see it the first day. I come up with a very detailed view on how long it actually takes to build new neural pathways and new energetic pathways. It takes about 500 days, guys. All right, so a year and a half. That's what you can expect when you begin to awaken and begin to become an active self-healer, until this actually takes effect in your 3D life. Yes. Yeah, so the last 2 weeks I was reminding you guys, this is not the time to quit. This is the time to rock up. This is the time to call yourselves out. This is the time to call yourselves to your higher potential. All right? And yes, when we do that, stuff comes up. But only for us to grow. Only for us to see what needs to be healed. To see what we can do to get into this place of rediscovering our ability to actually do something about this. So I want to start out here with the energy tips for next week with this quote. Healing is a process and not an event. It's the process of regaining trust in our own ability to heal and to love ourselves again. And the loving ourselves again part is the part that plays into our ego and our judgment and all these projections that we have of ourselves, because that's the part that collides with this ability to connect with our heart and our heart's guidance, and to really become authentic and real in life. All right? And so there's a little bit of work ahead of us when we begin to awaken, that entails stuff like, working on our basic connection, inner connection. We often, judge ourselves by our outer connections, but, if we feel lonely and isolated, there are many reasons for that, but most of them, especially for empaths, come from the place of, just constantly being overwhelmed and bombarded by other people's energies. And so we kind of ward them off, and we build this protective layer around our heart. The problem with that is, though, that it cuts off our connection altogether. So it also shuts down our own inner connection, and often to the point where people actually, really want themselves deliberately be cut off from being an empath, from being empathetic, because it's too much. And that's where, the energetic clearing comes in, because we cannot really, live a life as a sort of conscious and awakened person, if we cannot connect within, if we don't allow ourselves to feel all that needs to be felt. Because only if we can feel it, we can heal it. And those of us, who feel this calling, want to be of service to others, and want to connect with the world, and maybe contributing in some ways, that others can heal. For us, it's not only instrumental, it is our job to make sure that we are connected, to make sure that we can love ourselves, because that is the sort of the carrier wave for healing ourselves and others. Yes, thank you, Daniela, for your encouraging words. So guys, let's look at the things that come in here in this next week, and what you can actively do to self-heal. Okay, you do know that Transcodes has ongoing public energy sessions. They're done from home, and there's different kinds of sessions. Some of them are clearing sessions, some of them are connecting sessions, some of them are energy training sessions and integration sessions. So there's a lot of public training going on here, and one of these, personally, one of my favorites is coming up tomorrow. It's called the Heart Clearing, where we literally show you and allow you to experience this for yourself during the session, how you can clear these layers around your heart and go into deeper connection. Those sessions are often very emotional, because it's this avoidance and the protection, that makes us build these walls around our heart. And when we actually allow ourselves to do this, there's a lot that comes up, but it's also very clearing, very revealing. The cool thing about these remote energy sessions that we do here at Transcodes is that we have these trained energy coaches, like myself or Jeff or other trans coaches, sit on the other side and observe your energy while you are engaging in this deeper meditation or energy process. And then right after session, we write reports, and we give you guys feedback over what was going on, what these deeper healing processes were that were going on in your personal field. But anyway, so of course, I always recommend, when it comes to energy tips for the next week, to check out our ongoing energy sessions, and you can see them on the Transcodes website. There's a tab for the calendar. It's like 3, 4, 5 sessions every week. Saturday we have a huge workshop going on where we combine energy work, these energy sessions, with a live webinar right afterwards, and discuss how we can heal and reconcile with divine masculine energies in us. And this is not just for men. This is, although it's cool for men, because it's really addressing this issue that a lot of males experience in this sort of spiritual sphere, and that is that it's okay to be a guy, and how to really reconnect with this wonderful fire, that is in masculine energies. Okay, so that's on Saturday. And then we have a sacred self-healing meetup for exploring the deeper aspects of our true self and true self-connection. That's free for all the people who participate in the Sacred Self-Healing online course. So if you would like to know more about how we teach those things, then check out the Sacred Self-Healing course. All right, so what can we expect here next week? And again, it's not a prediction. It's something that we've already picked up on, and that is now sort of coming into manifestation for most people on this planet. the primary energy centers that will be activated or triggered next week are our second and third, our fourth, sixth, and seventh. So for those of you who are not fully familiar with energy centers and chakras, I try to keep this simple. And in the edited version of this video that I sent out with the transcript, you will see a chart, and and what these different energy centers, what they trigger in us, or what they want to work with. And in a simplified version, what this means is we're gonna still have to deal with some emotions. Okay, so there will be some letting go pain, some licking our wounds, some grieving maybe, but all that just to basically take down the megalomania of our ego. Okay, so it's a little bit of a grounding, of a reality check type of thing, but not as frantic, not as overwhelming as it was last week. We're going to go into more congruence there. It will be easier for us if we can connect with our hearts to begin with, because the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, brings in this larger perspective for us and what is really true to us, and when it comes to our goals and the things that we want to manifest, it's very important to be able to discern if what we want is of course authentic, but then also to go into this place of how do we actually want this. Many of us have this sort of idea of how we want our life, or how we want our career, or how we want our relationship, but then we kind of stop there, and this is where the judgment comes from. So we have to go a little deeper and ask ourselves how we want things. All right, and the sixth and the seventh chakra. Now, the sixth chakra is something that we've been dealing with here. This is the third eye already, and our second chakra, crown chakra, that's a connection with those sort of higher divine energies that are coming in here, is coming in and out. So this week is a lot stronger again. So people have a lot of visions. They may feel like they're hallucinating, hearing voices, or seeing things, seeing shadows moving in the room, or just generally picking up on more energies. Okay, and this can be a little frightening for people who are not trained in seeing energies and working with them. So know that when next week, when you have all this sort of extra sensory perception, that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the collective energies opening up, our sixth and seventh chakra, and this is generally good for people who have been on this journey for a while, and who don't have a problem with meditating. So this is why meditating is basically, in mindfulness techniques, are basically helping us to reconcile and balance, these extrasensory perceptions that we have. And so as for the physical energy tips here for next week, meditation is at the top of the list. And if you have a hard time meditating, if you fall asleep meditating, don't worry. Okay, and go to the Transcodes site and read the blog about meditating. We talk a lot about this. We also have an energy forum where there's a lot of people who have been on this journey for a long time, discussing these issues with meditation. Also, the Sacred Self-Healing course obviously teaches how to meditate, but meditation is a big one. Another one specifically for next week is water. You guys need to drink more water right now. Like collective energies are in a state of drought. I don't know if you can associate with what I mean with that, but it's it can be restrictive if we don't allow our juices to flow. And one of the ways to get our juices flowing again, on a cellular level, is to drink more water. Another one obviously is to move, to go into a more beneficial exercise routine. Okay, so move your body. If you're feeling low, then don't stay on the couch or stay in your bed. Go move. All right, even if it's just a little bit, and allow yourself to be creative with these things. Try things out. Try new things out, all right? Don't get stuck or set on the things that you have done in the past. Allow yourself to discover new things. And when it comes to like physical, ailments that may be flaring up, it's the time for headaches again. I'm sorry. The upper spine, like right here, not exactly the base of the skull. That's something a lot of empaths know, that kind of pain. But a little lower. So it's the upper spine. You'll probably feel that a lot. And people who have sensitive eyes will also feel that there's stuff going on with your eyes. Maybe dry eyes or itchy eyes or swollen eyes, so expect those kind of things. This is not just personal, this is coming in from collective energies. And my tip here, because what it really is that we are being forced to connect with our heart, and you may actually experience literal heart pain, like it may actually feel that your heart is hurting or that your rib cage is hurting because it wants to expand, is that you do a lot of stretching, a lot of sort of stretching of your upper body especially. And those of you familiar with energy work techniques, for you guys, go into etheric stretching as well. Do specific exercises here this week that help to expand, your lung capacity and your rib cage and all that. Emotionally, this heavy heart that you guys been feeling, this is still going on. And don't be afraid of your emotions. Allow yourself to feel, okay? What's a lot, harder is, to see this loop, to see this pattern that you have between your emotions and your thoughts. So your emotions are not the problem. It is your thinkingness, your judgments about your emotion or what you think you are feeling. And the only way to tell what you're truly feeling is actually through your heart and not through your emotions. If you wake up in the morning and you're already in the survival mode, as Cheryl called it here, then you know that your system in general is too, that there's too much adrenaline, there's too much cortisol in your system. You're already in this fight, flight, or fight mode. Whatever you're feeling emotionally in those times is not real, guys. This is not your true emotions. This is just really your nervous system responding to this fight, flight, or freeze. All right. So you got to get yourself into that place where you allow yourself to feel. Okay. Not just emote, but it starts with emotion. Repression, paves the way to depression. Don't try to repress anything. And if you are afraid of big emotions, then find healthier ways to express them. Maybe writing it down, or nowadays there's so many different ways of doing this. You could even record yourself. Or it just go, or have, maybe if you have someone that you can share this with, to really just say, I feel like shit right now, and this is going on, and just sharing things. Yeah, because that can help you, to release these excess emotional energies. As I've also talked a lot about, sort of breathing through your emotions in the past, and there's this breathing technique that I recommend. I am breathing technique, where you, sort of breathe everything that is in you and around you. You breathe this into your heart, and you clear this through your heart by breathing it out sideways. And if you want to go a step further, you're adding words to this. All right, this all helps to release these excess energies. And this, by the way, also works with excess mental energies. And there's something that I've showed people this all week, last week, and this is a sort of a mixture of energy work and shamanic work. And this is, to literally catch your thoughts. It doesn't matter if you can see them or not, but if you have this like massive thinkingness and you can't stop it, take it, throw it out. Don't feel stupid. I have tons of like tools around me that help me to throw out excessive thinkingness. All right. So mentally, the challenge next week will be that you are going to be super, super aware, and you can witness that insanity of your mental ADHD life. All right. And my suggestion to you is face it, do it. You're not in control of it. Don't try to control this. You are not. Your thoughts are part of the collective thought field. You are not in control of this. The only thing that you can control is whether you latch on to it. And when you latch on, that's when your emotions react to it, and that's when the judgment comes in, and that's when all these other loops come in. All right. So it is not your fault that you have this thinkingness. It is, basically a lack of training, a lack of education, that you recognize that you have to stop these thoughts from latching on, because then your body and your emotions react, and this is sort of basically what I normally call the end, the beginning of the end. Then you're in this endless cycle, and then it's only a matter of time till you find yourself in the dark night of your soul. So another way, a practical tool, to sort thoughts a bit is to, I don't know about you guys, but I have this constant to-do list in my head. And as simple as it sounds, but it really works wonders. Write everything down that you need to do. Don't carry these thoughts with you like luggage all the time, okay? Write it down and then look at the list when you're ready to tend to your tasks. But don't, allow this to cruise around, like rogue thought patterns, write it all down. And if you have really big issues in your life right now, then also maybe set priorities, or see if you can break them down into smaller chunks, the tasks that are ahead of you. Because it's overwhelming when it's too big, and when we are low in energy, we can't resolve any of these big issues, these big questions in life, like who am I? What is my purpose? What fulfills me? You cannot answer those questions. You won't find any solutions that will get you to that place of fulfillment, or happiness or authenticity in this state. So you have to let go, of wanting to resolve everything at once. And that requires a little bit of discipline. So that's why we talked about being versus doing. Okay, sometimes it's just not the right time to do anything about it. Sometimes it's more important to be and to go in, and to look at what am I resisting, what is creating all these inner conflicts. All right, so the discipline is to not allow your thoughts to latch on. Socially, and like in regards to our relationships, this can be a bit challenging here next week. It's really going to be about your communication, because in the last couple of weeks we've been a little, overwhelmed with things. So we may have done a little bit of damage here and there, just by sort of venting, or by, blurring things out, or exploding. And we may have to do a little bit of makeup work there. This will be easier in this next week, because you'll have more clarity to do that. And it's okay to go back and revisit a subject. This is showing, integrity. When you go back and say, hey, what I said there, I didn't really mean this. The way it came out, maybe, wasn't really okay, and I apologize if I hurt your feelings. So revisiting and making amends is probably going to be a good strategy for next week. Also, you've got to really learn that the clarity in your words also determines the power behind them. Okay, and so it's really important to speak this sort of clear language. Don't dance around the bush. Be clear and care about how the other understands, or if the other can even understand what you're saying. People get so wrapped up in form. Well, I didn't say this, blah, blah, blah. No, this is not. It doesn't matter how you said something. What matters is how the other person perceives it or how the other person understands it. If you want to have a good communication, you need to care. You need to ask if they, if they are understanding what you're saying, or if they can understand you, or if there's anything that they're not understanding, or if they're seeing it differently. You need to ask for feedback, guys. You can't just insist on, well, I used the correct words, or I'm coming from this righteous place, because I've said so, or, these are not good examples, but you know what I mean. It's all about how the other person perceives it. And maybe they were caught in their own thoughts or in their own emotions at that point. So their perception of what you said is limited. And so you need to double check and make sure that it's a mutual exchange of information and not just talking at the other. Yes, Casey is shouting out, I can barely function today. Anybody else feeling a huge energy today? For 2-3 days already. So, this energy, when this comes in, this fire, and this has to do with masculine energies, guys. That's why we have this workshop on Saturday. There's always a connection between these collective energies and the energy sessions that we have going on, But please, guys, if you would like to comment here on Casey's question, the inability to barely function. This is your 6th, 7th chakra, really speeding up, and you have to make sure, Casey, to ground yourself, okay? It doesn't matter what your spiritual understanding of this is. You still are in the physical here, and so you have to honor, your body, who is not quite there yet to handle all these higher vibratory energies and the information that is coming in. Yes, my Grajata says same thing. Yeah, I mentioned the embarrassing need to sleep and to rest. So if that is what's coming up for you guys, then do it. If something else comes up that helps you to shift your energy into a more grounded place, do it. Do this first. Do not try to resolve issues when you are in such places. Okay? Spiritually, and this is, exactly kind of what I was going to talk about, namely, how do we digest, how do we even work with all this sort of the speed up of spiritual energies within and around us. And this isn't easy physically, this isn't easy emotionally and mentally as well. But spiritually, there are a few things that we can do. And that is, first of all, to understand that this whole thing with ego, okay, and why this is so painful, and why this is, going into, the shadow world of ourself, is because it's basically our ego's attempt to be over God. It is, the ego that says, I know better, than, the divine guidance that I'm having. And so what you are experiencing is indeed this battle of resonances within, the battle between your ego self, that is trying to control the process, and these higher vibratory divine energies, that are coming in through this divine Wi-Fi right now. And so what you got to see here really is that hanging on to things, trying to control things, judging things, and so forth, even being afraid of things, or going into this like conspiracy theory type of energy is not going to help you. It's just increasing, the inner conflict, the energetic stress, and all that, all the side effects of that. So you got to really be willing to surrender here, and I'm not talking surrendering to a religion or guru or a spiritual teaching. No, you gotta be willing to surrender your ego. This is what this journey is all about. Okay. So hang in there. And as you are doing this, and I can promise this to you, not only will all these things that you may experience as overwhelming right now, not only will this actually empower you, and you feel more courage, to resolve, these higher vibratory goals in your life, these higher vibratory issues in your life, such as love and abundance and peace and fulfillment, purpose, and healing. Okay, but you will also begin to understand that your true source of power is not your ego. This is an illusionary source of power. And yes, it can get you pretty far here in this world, but not where you want to go. So it's all about developing new strategies now, new healing strategies. Okay, and there you got to be open, but you can't get through this if you have spiritual specialness, or, if you let your ego drive the bus. That's not going to work. It's going to slap you in the face. And this is where the pain comes from. So the stronger the ego, the stronger the pain. So what do you need to let go? Trying to control. And you let go of the ego. Okay? Energetically, for those of you who would like to know how to support all this with energy work, of course, it's always, connecting and clearing, and this is a constant, sort of skimming the lake process. This will never end, it's not like we've said earlier, an event. It's a process, so shifting our energy and learning how to do all that, that's of course, here at the foundation of energetic self-healing. So training, education, and so forth, and really seeing that there are other healing strategies out there. But the biggest tip here is probably to really get to this, to internalize that all these emotions, thoughts, and spiritual and physical, and all these things, these experiences that you go through, that these are fundamentally all just energies. It's all just an energy. And energies can be transformed, guys. And energies can be healed. So if something can be transformed, it can be healed. All right? And so really delving into this energetic view of things, and here at Transcodes, we teach several tools, that allow you to not only identify, your energetic state, but also how to actually shift it. It's like a technology. It's like learning this inner language, this inner energetic language. I've called this building a lexicon of inner sensations. Yeah. Yes, yes, and Casey, weather changes can also impact us, the actual weather changes. I'm personally having to deal a lot with that all my life, and also altitude and stuff like that. So those are always, energies that constrict me, and it takes a little while for me. So I'm airing from Colorado right now, and whenever I fly into Colorado, after having been gone from home for a while, I go through 2 days of massive altitude sickness, no matter how many years I live here. So, I'm not trying to control this, I'm just accepting this. And I'm adjusting my lifestyle accordingly. So in these 2 days, I make sure that I get enough water, that I get enough rest. I only eat really good foods with good micronutrients, and make sure that I can do, or that I do everything that I can do to support, my body's adjustment to this. Yes. All right. So to conclude the energy tips here, self-mastery does not have anything to do with controlling things. Self-mastery has to do with discernment and the ability to connect within, and then to know the difference between, of course, what's mine, what isn't, but also when is the time to act and when is the time to reflect or just to be, and also what is good for me and what isn't. Okay, and you'll see these are based on subjectivity. They're based on us seeing ourselves as the subject, okay, and not as an object. That's the old paradigm. Collectively, I actually think this is a very exciting time. There's a lot of influx of creativity. I'm expecting really cool movies to come out, songs to come out, and research, And there's also stuff like this president's case here a couple of days ago, where somebody could prove that Roundup, one of the largest Monsanto pesticides or pesticide groups, creates cancer, these are huge step forwards, into showing truth and how our society can improve, all these things that are still, toxic, or that are not good for ourselves. So it's bit by bit, okay, but it's a process. Yes. Okay, guys, I gotta hurry now. I gotta prepare for the crypto spiritual energy update, and most of you know this. In there, I contextualize these collective energies for the financial markets, specifically the cryptocurrency sphere, and we do integrity ratings there and comparative studies and so forth. So if you're interested, come back here in 10 minutes and see me, sort of translating all of this, into finances. And one last remark. Last week, I came up with the comparative study about spiritual movements and spiritual teachers. I got a lot of responses there, and people asked me to test, sort of the schools or the teachers that they are associated with. Please continue doing so, okay? There's a very comprehensive list of calibrated integrity levels done by Dr. Hawkins and this group, his group over the last decades. But we can also test these things out and give you feedback. But please only ask if you're willing to see truth. Okay? Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me. I love having you here. Bye-bye. See you next week. Same time.